Stop mowing your lawn for 1 second and look down, because what you are about to pull out of the ground and throw away is worth more, nutritionally, than half of what is sitting in your produce aisle right now. I'm not talking about herbs you planted. I am talking about the plants growing wild between your sidewalk cracks, in your flower beds, along your fence line, the ones you have been ripping out and tossing in a yard waste bag for years. Some of these were eaten by monks for strength, prescribed by physicians centuries before pharmacies existed, and studied in modern labs with results that genuinely surprised the researchers running the trials. Stay with me through this entire list, because number 6 has more vitamin C, gram for gram, than an orange, and number 2 was eaten by astronauts because NASA identified it as one of the most nutritionally complete plants on the planet. By the end of this video, you're going to look at your own backyard completely differently. Before we get into it, if you want more videos like this, one that turns something ordinary into something you never look at the same way again, hit that subscribe button right now so you do not miss what is coming next. Alright, let us get into it. Number 10. Dandelion. The flower everyone poisons and nobody eats. Every part of this plant is edible. The leaves, the root, the flower, and almost everyone in the modern world treats it as an enemy to be sprayed with weed killer. That is a genuine shame, because dandelion greens contain more beta-carotene than carrots and more calcium than a serving of milk. The leaves are also one of the richest plant sources of vitamin K, a nutrient most people are quietly deficient in without realizing it, and one that plays a direct role in bone density and proper blood clotting. The root has a long documented history as a liver support herb, traditionally roasted and brewed as a bitter tonic to stimulate bile production and support digestion. Modern research has picked up on this too, with studies showing dandelion extract supports healthy liver enzyme activity. The bitter compounds in the leaves also stimulate digestive juices when eaten raw, which is exactly why older herbal traditions built entire spring cleanses around this one plant. Traditional use is simple. Young leaves tossed raw into a salad before the plant flowers, when they are least bitter. Older leaves sautéed like any other leafy green. The roots sliced, roasted, and steeped as a coffee substitute. This is not a weed. This is a multivitamin growing for free in your grass. Number 9. Purslane, the succulent that outperforms fish oil. This one looks like a weed nobody would think twice about. Small, fleshy, reddish stems creeping low across bare dirt and garden beds. But purslane holds a distinction that stops nutrition researchers in their tracks. It is the richest known plant source of omega-3 fatty acids on Earth, containing more per gram than most fish. That is an almost unheard of trait for a land plant, and it is part of why some nutrition scientists have called it one of the most underrated foods in the modern diet. Beyond the omega-3s, purslane is loaded with vitamin A, vitamin C, magnesium, and potassium, and it contains antioxidant compounds that have shown measurable effects on blood sugar regulation in clinical research. Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cooking traditions have used purslane for centuries, folded into salads, cooked into stews, and eaten raw straight off the stem, while an entire modern generation has been pulling it out of garden beds and throwing it away. Traditional use is straightforward. Eaten raw with a slightly lemony, crunchy bite, tossed into salads, or lightly sautéed with garlic. If it is growing uninvited in your garden, you are looking at one of the densest sources of a nutrient most people pay a premium for in supplement form. Number 8. Broadleaf plantain, the bandage that grows under your feet. Not the banana relative, a completely different plant, the low, wide-leafed weed that grows in nearly every lawn, sidewalk crack, and disturbed patch of soil in the world. Indigenous groups across North America and traditional herbalists across Europe both arrived at the exact same use for this plant independently, which is one of the strongest signs in herbal medicine that something genuinely works. Crushed or chewed plantain leaf applied directly to a cut, sting, or scrape. The leaves contain a compound called allantoin, which is documented to accelerate skin cell regeneration and reduce inflammation, along with tannins that have measurable antimicrobial activity. This is why it earned the nickname nature's bandage in Old World herbal texts. Beyond wound care, the leaves are also edible and carry a meaningful fiber and mineral content, including calcium and vitamin K. The seeds, when dried and ground, are a close botanical relative of the psyllium husk sold in every pharmacy as a fiber supplement. Traditional use is simple. Young leaves eaten raw or cooked like a leafy green when tender. A crushed leaf applied directly to an insect bite or minor cut for fast relief. This plant has been quietly doing first aid duty under people's feet for thousands of years. Number 7. Chickweed, the tiny plant with more vitamin C than an orange. This is the small, star-flowered ground cover that spreads across shaded lawns and garden beds in cool weather. Easy to overlook because each individual plant looks so delicate. Do not let the size fool you. Ounce for ounce, chickweed contains more vitamin C than an orange, along with meaningful amounts of vitamin A, calcium, magnesium, and iron. Traditional herbal medicine across Europe used chickweed almost exclusively as a skin remedy, applied as a poultice or infused into oil for rashes, eczema, and minor irritation, and modern research on its saponin content has found genuine anti-inflammatory activity that supports why this use persisted for so long. Herbalists also used it as a mild diuretic and digestive support, and it has a long folk history of being used to support healthy weight management, likely tied to its high water and nutrient density, paired with very few calories. Traditional use is eaten raw, tossed into salads for a mild, slightly grassy flavor, or infused into oils and salves for topical skin support. It grows fastest in cool, damp seasons, so if your lawn ever fills in with small white star-shaped flowers, that is chickweed offering itself up for free. Number 6. Lamb's quartus, the ancient grain's wild ancestor. This plant is closely related to quinoa and spinach, and in many parts of the world it was cultivated as a grain crop long before quinoa became a health food store staple. In your yard, it shows up as a tall, fast-growing weed with a distinctive dusty, silvery coating on the underside of its leaves. Nutritionally, lamb's quartus is genuinely remarkable. It contains more calcium than milk, more iron than spinach, and more protein than most leafy greens, along with high concentrations of vitamin A and vitamin C. Archaeological evidence shows lamb's quartus seeds were a dietary staple across multiple ancient civilizations on different continents, a plant independently valued by cultures that never had contact with one another, which is a strong signal of just how nutritionally dense it actually is. Modern nutritional analysis consistently ranks the leaves among the most mineral-rich wild greens tested. Traditional use is cooked like spinach, sautéed, steamed, or added to soups, since the leaves contain oxalates that are reduced significantly through cooking. The seeds can also be dried and ground into a flour, exactly the way ancient peoples used them before wheat became dominant. This is not a weed competing with your garden. This is the garden your ancestors actually depended on. Number 5. Wood sorrel, the lemon-flavored plant hiding in your flower beds. Easy to mistake for clover because of its 3-part leaves, wood sorrel is actually a completely different plant, and one bite tells you immediately. A sharp, bright, lemony tang that comes from oxalic acid, the same compound found in spinach and rhubarb. That tartness is not just a flavor curiosity. Wood sorrel has a documented traditional use as a thirst quencher and mild digestive aid, chewed directly by field workers and foragers for a quick burst of refreshment and vitamin C during long days outdoors. It also contains meaningful antioxidant compounds, and some traditional medicine systems used it topically for its mild astringent, cooling properties on minor skin irritation. Because of its oxalic acid content, it is a plant best enjoyed in moderation rather than in large quantities. The same caution that applies to spinach, but a small handful adds a genuinely bright, citrus-like note to a salad with zero cultivation effort on your part. Traditional use is eaten raw straight off the stem for a refreshing snack, or added sparingly to salads for its lemon flavor. If you have ever seen small yellow or pink flowers low to the ground with heart-shaped, clover-like leaves, you have walked past a wild lemon garnish your entire life without knowing it. Number 4. Wild violets, the flower with more vitamin C than most citrus. Violets carpet shaded lawns and garden edges every spring with small purple flowers most people consider purely decorative. Every part of the plant above ground is edible, and both the leaves and flowers carry a genuinely impressive nutritional profile. The leaves contain significant amounts of vitamin A and vitamin C, in some analyses rivaling or exceeding citrus fruit, along with a mucilage content that traditional herbalists use specifically for soothing sore throats and coughs. Violet-infused syrups were a common home remedy for respiratory irritation for generations before cough drops existed on pharmacy shelves. The flowers themselves are rich in antioxidant anthocyanins, the same class of pigment compound responsible for many of the health benefits associated with berries. Traditional use is flowers eaten raw as a garnish or infused into syrup, tea, or honey for a soothing throat remedy, and young leaves added raw to salads or cooked like a mild leafy green. This is a plant that was doing real medicinal work in yards and gardens long before it became just something pretty to look at in spring. Number 3. Red clover, the blood purifier growing in every field. Nearly everyone has walked past a patch of red clover without a second thought. Yet this plant has one of the longest continuous histories of medicinal use of anything on this list. Traditional herbal medicine across multiple continents referred to it as a blood purifier, used in tonics intended to support detoxification and skin health over long-term use. Modern research has focused heavily on red clover's isoflavone content, plant compounds structurally similar to estrogen that have been studied specifically for supporting hormonal balance, particularly around menopause, along with documented cardiovascular benefits, including improved arterial flexibility. The flowers are also a rich source of trace minerals, including calcium, magnesium, and chromium, nutrients often lacking in modern refined diets. Bees are drawn to red clover more than almost any other wildflower, which is part of why it has historically been prized by beekeepers, and the resulting honey carries some of the same beneficial compounds. Traditional use is flowers dried and steeped as tea, the most common and longest-standing preparation, or infused into honey or tinctures for long-term wellness support. This is a plant entire generations relied on for hormonal and cardiovascular support, quietly growing in every field and roadside ditch around you. Number 2. Stinging nettle, the plant that hurts you and heals you in the same breath. Yes, this is the one that stings on contact, and that exact defense mechanism is part of why so few people ever discover what is inside it. Once cooked or dried, the sting completely disappears, and what remains is one of the most nutrient-dense wild plants on the planet. Nettle contains more iron than spinach, significant protein for a leafy green, and a full spectrum of vitamins A, C, and K, along with calcium and magnesium. NASA has studied nettle specifically for its nutritional density in the context of long-duration space nutrition planning, because so few plants pack this much usable protein and mineral content into so little biomass. Traditional European and Asian medicine used nettle extensively for joint pain and inflammation, and modern clinical research has confirmed measurable anti-inflammatory activity, along with documented benefits for seasonal allergy symptoms and prostate health. Traditional use is steamed or boiled to neutralize the sting, then eaten like spinach or dried and steeped as a mineral-rich tea. Root preparations have also been studied specifically for hormonal support. This plant announces its own value the moment you touch it, and then rewards you generously the moment you know how to prepare it. Number 1. Wild amaranth, the forgotten staple that fed entire civilizations. Most people know this plant only as pigweed, a fast-growing nuisance that takes over garden beds and cracks in pavement within weeks. Almost nobody realizes they are looking at a plant that was once a primary staple crop for the Aztec and other Mesoamerican civilizations. Cultivated on a scale comparable to corn before colonization, nearly erased it from cultivation entirely. Both the leaves and the seeds are edible, and the nutritional profile explains exactly why ancient civilizations built their food systems around it. The leaves are exceptionally rich in vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron, while the seeds contain a complete protein profile with all essential amino acids, an unusually rare trait among plant foods, and one that put it in the same nutritional category as quinoa, its closer cousin. Modern nutritional research has confirmed amaranth seed protein quality rivals that of animal protein sources, and the leaves have been studied for significant antioxidant activity tied to their deep pigmentation. Traditional use is young leaves cooked like spinach and mature seeds toasted, popped, or ground into flour, exactly the way it was prepared for thousands of years before it was pushed out by wheat and corn monoculture. This plant did not disappear because it stopped working. It disappeared because it stopped being profitable to grow at scale, and now it is growing in your yard for free, waiting for someone to notice. 10 plants, and every single one of them is currently growing somewhere within walking distance of where you are sitting right now, completely free, completely ignored, and in most cases actively being killed with weed spray. Here is what strikes me most about this entire list. None of these plants needed to be discovered in a laboratory. Herbalists, foragers, and entire civilizations identified every single benefit we just walked through using nothing but direct observation passed down over generations, and modern clinical research keeps arriving at the exact same conclusions they did. The gap here is not knowledge. It is attention. Somewhere along the way, an entire category of free, nutrient-dense food got rebranded as something to eliminate rather than something to eat. So here is the challenge I want to leave you with. Before your next lawn treatment, walk your yard and see how many of these 10 you can actually identify. Correctly identify a plant before eating anything from the wild, since some toxic lookalikes do exist, and when in doubt, cross-reference with a trusted foraging guide or local expert. If this video changed the way you look at your own backyard, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment and tell me which plant on this list surprised you the most. Was it the nettle that stings you and heals you in the same breath? The purslane with more omega-3s than fish? The amaranth that once fed an empire? If you are not subscribed yet, hit that button now and turn on notifications, because we are uncovering more of these hiding in plain sight superfoods every single week, and the next one goes even deeper. You do not want to miss it. See you there.